Hello, friends. How are you? I hope you are well. Thank you for watching my video. Today I have brought you some new information. I hope you like it and keep watching. Stay by my side. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in the quiet folds of the Middle Ages, the world moved at a slower pace. The year was somewhere between the 11th and 14th centuries, though back then most people didn't keep track of such things. The world was smaller, simpler, and endlessly patient. The air was often filled with the soft hum of church bells and the gentle rhythm of village life. In the distance, a castle stood upon a hill, not majestic or bright, but solid and gray, its stones cool to the touch. Around it lay small wooden cottages, thatched with straw, leaning slightly from years of wind and rain. Chickens clucked lazily in the dirt, and the occasional cow let out a sleepy moo as the sun drifted across the sky. Morning began with the slow toll of a bell. Peasants would stir from their beds made of hay and wool blankets, rubbing sleep from their eyes. They didn't rush. There was no hurry, no alarm clock, no rush hour noise, just the promise of another ordinary day. A farmer might step outside and breathe in the misty air, heavy with the scent of wet soil and grass. He would grab his worn wooden rake and begin to work the fields, his mind quiet, his body used to the gentle rhythm of labor. In the distance, the village blacksmith would start his day too. The ringing of his hammer echoed softly, a dull, rhythmic tap, tap, tap that blended with the rustle of trees and the cooing of pigeons on the rooftops. It wasn't a loud world, but a steady one. Everything seemed to move to the beat of time itself, slow and steady, like a lullaby for the earth. Inside the castle walls, life wasn't much faster. A lady of the court sat by the window, her embroidery stretched on a wooden hoop. Each stitch was deliberate and quiet. She looked out at the courtyard below, where knights practiced swordplay in the dust, their movements deliberate, graceful, and rehearsed. There were no wars today, no banners flying, just training, patience, and silence. The clang of metal faded into the wind, and all that remained was the hum of the afternoon. Meals were simple, thick bread, soft cheese, and warm stew that simmered slowly over the fire. Candles flickered gently, throwing little golden halos across the wooden walls. People spoke softly, if at all. There wasn't much to say. Life was repetitive, predictable, almost soothing in its sameness. Days were marked by the rising and setting of the sun, and nights by the song of crickets in the dark. The monks in the abbey nearby kept time with their prayers. At dawn they chanted in Latin, voices low and echoing through cold stone halls. The sound was like water trickling over rocks, steady and calm. Each day they copied books by hand, one careful letter after another, their quills scratching faintly on parchment. It could take months to copy a single manuscript, but no one was in a hurry. There was peace in the slowness, a comfort in the rhythm of repetition. Outside the abbey, the world continued its sleepy rotation. Seasons came and went, one blending into another like brush strokes on a fading painting. Spring brought tiny flowers and the smell of fresh rain. Summer hummed with bees and warm evenings. Autumn painted the trees gold and rust, while winter wrapped everything in a muffled hush.
people didn't chase the future. They simply lived within the present moment, quietly and humbly. In the evenings, after the day's work was done, families gathered by the hearth. The fire crackled softly, filling the room with warmth and orange light. Children leaned against their parents, drifting in and out of dreams as stories were told. Stories of knights and dragons, saints and miracles. But even these tales were told slowly, with pauses long enough to hear the wood pop in the fire. The flicker of flames painted gentle shadows on the walls, and time itself seemed to stretch out endlessly. Beyond the villages, the roads were narrow and muddy, winding through forests and fields. Travelers passed occasionally, merchants with carts, monks on foot, or wandering minstrels with stringed instruments. They moved quietly, too, with the patience of those who knew there was no rush to reach anywhere. The world was big enough to hold them, and small enough that they could hear the wind in the trees as they walked. At night, the sky over the Middle Ages was darker than ours, deep, endless, and filled with countless stars. There was no hum of electricity, no distant car engines, no glowing cities to drown the silence. Just the gentle chirping of crickets, the far-off bark of a dog, and the whisper of the wind. Somewhere an owl called out from the trees. Somewhere else a candle was snuffed, and the last voice of the day faded into dreams. And so, life in the Middle Ages drifted on, calm and steady. It was not a time of luxury or excitement, but it had its own rhythm, like a quiet song that never ends. People woke with the dawn, worked beneath the sun, and slept beneath the stars. Their lives were woven with patience and slowness, and though centuries have passed, the echo of that stillness remains. So if you close your eyes now, you can almost hear it, the slow tone of a distant bell, the murmur of the wind through the fields, and the soft breathing of a world long asleep. Sleep then, as they once did, peaceful, unhurried, beneath the quiet stars of medieval time.